Hi everybody, Andy Nolch here with another KR, and this one is about the Code of Honor, explaining the Code of Honor, because there's a lot of written material in Scientology, and there's a lot of lectures you can listen to, but there's a handful of things that I think are really, really good. I think that are really, really important. I think the Dianetics book is super important. It's basically what started off Scientology anyway. There's no wonder. It was a hit book. It was a hit book for a reason. It was really successful. I think it was really, really important, that book. And I think this Code of Honor is another really, really, really big, important thing. And it's not that long. It's a bit of writing, it's not that long, but it's just really, really important because you might listen to someone who's a Scientology hater, and it's kind of like, yes, okay, the church got corrupted and it has done some dodgy things. It has done some dodgy things. But to ignore the good side of Scientology is just ridiculous, because the good side is so good. It far outweighs the bad side. The bad side is temporary and not lasting that long, and the church seems to be improving anyway. But something like this Code of Honor is like ideas and philosophies that will last forever into eternity. And this is an example, because it's just like, whoa, when I left the church, I didn't go, oh my God, look how bad Scientology is, blah, blah, blah. I thought, oh yeah, look at how messed up it is and stuff. But the good side's still really, really good. So that's why I continued being a Scientologist, and that's why I'm an independent Scientologist. But other people go, oh my God, the church is so bad, such a bad side. Oh, Scientology's all crap. And it's just like, I don't know why they can't see the amazingness in this Code of Honor. Maybe everyone's got different tastes. Maybe when these Scientology haters read something like this Code of Honor, they didn't, it didn't ring true for them. It didn't help them. You know what I mean? They didn't really, really like it. So anyway, I'm gonna read this Code of Honor here and talk a bit about it, and maybe you'll agree with me that this Code of Honor is super important and is super special, because I know it is. I know it is for me. All right. That's why I'll make some other KRs in the future that pick out a few very special things in Hubbard's writings. But anyway, so this is really, really important, because it's like whenever there's having a tough time or anything like that. Well, I've found this Code of Honor can be very helpful, and it's very, very good. Okay, so let's just look up the definition of code, right? Because we're going to say Code of Honor. Code's like rules. It's like a rule book, Code of Honor. And it says here in the Tech Dictionary, a collection of rules, do's and don'ts. So it's like a code, there's like a code of plumbers, there's code of school teachers. It's just like the rules you sort of follow. And Code of Honor, and you might be thinking, what the hell is honor? And I thought about it deeply, because honor's sort of like staying true to yourself and doing what's right. And I kind of thought deep about it, and I kind of thought a Code of Honor is just, I think, being a good person. And as Scientologists, we believe that the meaning of life is to survive. So the best thing for survival is to be good. Right? Because look, if stealing, if, I don't know, being a bad person, if not having any honor, right? If those things help your survival, I would totally be recommending you to do them. You know what I mean? If not following this Code of Honor was good for your survival, I would recommend it. You know what I mean? There's, even when you talk about people who commit suicide, if suicide was good for that person, if their life was really messed up, and stuff, and actually was the best option for him, I would recommend him to do it. You always want to do the best option, right? So with this code of honor, like, because people might be thinking, why would you want to be some nerdy, goody religious person, right? And it's because it's better for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's best for you to do this. If you follow a code of honor, you end up succeeding and it's better for you. If you're good to the people around you, it's better for you. You know what I mean? If you're a prick, then you can end up getting locked up in jail. You can end up having problems and fights with people and all this sort of stuff, you know? If being a prick was good for you, I'll be recommending it. I'll be making videos say, hey man, you should be an absolute prick to people. You should have no morals. You should just be just a terrible person. Just become a criminal because it's great. I'll be recommending it. But it's not. Here's the thing, it's not. Right? Like, yes, there are some criminals who are really successful, who are doing really secret crimes. And they're getting away with it, and they've got plenty of money. But they're messed up people. And they're not that happy. You'll probably find that they have like a limp in their leg or like a twitch in their eye, and they're like... they've got like some like slight eating problem where they can't eat that well. They're sort of messed up. That's another thing, by the way. If you want to know someone who's been a bit naughty, then look for like little things that are slightly wrong with them. You'll find they'll have little things that are slightly wrong with them. Like they'll have, you know, like a twitch in the eye, or they'll have like a limp in the leg. It's usually a sign that they've been committing overts like long term. Whereas people who are pretty healthy and that sort of stuff and don't have these sort of problems, you probably find that they're not doing dodgies, you know? It's just one of the traits. That's why when it comes to psychiatrists and psychologists, I'm not saying they're all bad, but you'll notice that some of them might have the little thing where they're like, they just slightly have something wrong with them, like, or like a twitch in the eye, or like the limp, or like some skin disorder. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's something that I've noticed. I think I've heard other Scientologists mention it as well. Anyway, so because life is like a teamwork thing, sadly it is. I mean, you can go move to an island if you want. You can be a prick on the island, but basically you need to have these sorts of things like a code of honor. And you need to be goody-goody. And recently I've had a bit of experience in this because I committed an overt. Like I committed an overt. Like it was a proper overt. It wasn't one of these silly things that the church pick on. They're like something that's like not really an overt, but that you don't have any overt to say, so you have to like deal with it in the church. And it's just stupid and a waste of time. This was a proper overt that I committed. And I thought about the whole karma thing. And I thought, I don't want to get karma from this overt, right? And like I kind of put the postulate out there not to get karma or whatever. Like I was like, okay, I committed an overt, and because I was aware that maybe karma and Scientology have like a similar thing. Anyway, so I ended up getting karma back for the overt, and I was kind of like, yeah, isn't that interesting? So this is why you should be a good person. This is why you shouldn't like steal from a shop, or you shouldn't stab someone, for example, because although you might think stealing from the shop is helping you, or killing that person is helping you, I'm not really sure in the long run if it's worth it after you get the karma back. Like, it would be cool to be able to not have karma. And, like, when you're super OT, maybe you can, get to that stage. But the way we are at the moment, it really does seem like karma exists. So, you got to be a good guy. You know what I mean? And people don't know this, right? There's something that happens, right? It's something that happens that I noticed after you commit the overt is you get bad luck, right? You stub your toe or something in your car breaks down, or someone steals something from you. I've noticed that this is what happens. I think they're called motivators in Scientology. But after you commit the overt, the karma comes back on you and you cop shit for it, right? So basically, that's why when you look at people who are professional criminals, it's really stupid to look at them because, like they're just so stupid because they have crap happen to them and shit happen to them and bad luck and all this sort of stuff. And if they just stop committing overts, they'll stop getting all this crap. But they think, oh, stealing $500 is a great thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, but I get $500, but then you get $600 worth in damages, if you know what I mean. So let's say you go and you, as a criminal, you're like, oh yeah, let's from 7-Eleven, let's steal $50 worth of food. Well, you'll walk down the street and your phone after that will break down and you'll have to spend $100 getting a new phone. Like, seriously, this is karma. This really exists. And I noticed it happened to me recently. Although I feel like what happened to me recently, the badness actually wasn't as bad. You know what I mean? The karma was less than... Long story anyway. Like, I committed an overt right because it was an action that I felt was good for my survival in the long run. But in the short term, I got some karma for it. But I definitely got karma. But it was worth it. The karma was worth it. You know what I mean? The karma wasn't tons and tons more karma. But you definitely get karma. Anyway, it was a once-off situation, you know. But what I'm saying is that these criminals are ridiculous because they continually these bad guys continually have, and we have it happen, right? Us normal people have it happen, but on a much smaller scale. So our overt's much smaller, our bad luck and stuff that we get from it, the karma is much smaller, but it's still there, right? I'll give you an example, right, of an overt. I went into a swimming pool and I forgot to bring my bathers. So I went into Lost and Found and I told them that I'd lost my bathers, right? And I went to Lost and Found and I just got some random bathers, but they were all right. Like, they were pretty good. And so I used them that day, right? And then I didn't put the bathers back in the Lost and Found. I just kept them because I liked them, right? Now, somebody could have lost those bathers a week before and could have gone back to the pool to try and get those bathers and found that they were gone. Right? Some poor fellow lost, like, you know, could have lost their bathers because of me. Right? Now, that sort of thing is an example of, like, a normal sort of overt that, like, people do. Not criminals. Criminals obviously do big overts, right? So, you get karma for that. You know, I got karma for that, for what I did, because it's wrong. It's violating the code of honor. You know, it's violating what's right, and it's not worth it. Like I said, you know, if being bad and stealing shit was good, then I'll be like telling everyone just go be bad and steal shit. But what happens is life just becomes crazy. You get all this karma. The world's just a terrible place. The best way to be is to be good. Sorry, it's just how it is. The best way is to be goody-goody, but not one of these goody-goodies. They're like these goody-goodies at school and at church where they're like nerdy and they're goody-goodies just to impress the teacher. Like a genuine goody-goody, like you genuinely are good. Not one of these fake goody-goodies. Anyway, so I'm just trying to say the reasons why you should follow the code of honor, right? And be good, basically, because it helps you the most. You know, that way you have the most friends, you don't have enemies and all this sort of problems. Anyway, so this is a code here that helps you with, you know, remaining good and that sort of stuff. I'll just read out the definition actually of code of honor. It says, the ethical code of Scientology. The code one uses not because he has to, but because he can afford such a luxury. Anyway, so sorry, I'll just mention about the DB, the degraded beings, right? The really messed up criminal type of people. They continually have crazy lives, like, you know, their phone breaks and then they just have problems and messed up some things, but they just and then what happens is they go, they go, I'm going to steal something now because I'm in a bad mood because my car broke down or whatever, and they'll go and steal something. Then they'll go, oh, it's all right for me to like beat up that person because I had something bad happen before, right? So every time something bad happens to them, that encourages them to go commit more overts, which is messed up, right? They commit more like sins, you know, which is messed up. If they just stopped, they need to realize, hold on, you realize you're causing bad karma for yourself. It's actually is a law that exists in this universe, like gravity, right? You know, gravity exists, the karma law exists. So you need to actually just stop the overts, and you actually find you'll start getting good luck. And then as you get good luck, the less you want to commit overts. It's like overts is like a trap of, it's like a cycle. It's almost like drugs. You get addicted to it. You know what I mean? You commit an overt, and then you get bad luck, and then you go, fuck this, I want to commit an overt, and then you commit bad luck. And then you get bad luck, you know what I mean? You get the motivator, and then you go, oh, I'm going to throw my thing down, who cares? And I hate life, and then you commit another overt, right? And it continues you in this path of just committing overts and overts and overts and overts. It's messed up. You need to break it by just stop committing overts altogether and being good. And then actually, yeah, maybe doing some good things like donating to charity, and you start getting the whole reverse flow of it, which is like good and good and good and good. It makes you become better and better and better and better. Anyway, so the definition of a code of honor. The code of honor clearly states conditions of acceptable comradeship amongst those fighting on one side against something which they conceive should be remedied. Anyone practicing the code of honor would maintain a good opinion of his fellows, a much more important thing than having one's fellows maintain a good opinion of one. Yeah, who cares what other people think? You should think good of others. All right. So here's the code of honor. Number 1. And this is good. Like I said, if you're going through a rough stage in your life or whatever, like read the code of honor, and it helps you sort of solve problems and get out of it. And a lot of these people, actually, speaking of people who hate Scientology, who've had bad experiences in it, a lot of these people violate this code of honor. They don't use it. But some people naturally use this code of honor. They haven't even read it. They might not even be Scientologists, but they naturally sort of live by this. And they're usually pretty good people. But some people just don't have it at all. And they probably didn't read it when they were involved with the church much or anything. And they run into all these problems in the church. And it's actually because they've violated their own code of honor. Like, yes, the church is sort of corrupted, and some bad staff members screwed them over a bit. But if they had the code of honor in, and they had a strong code of honor, they would have never got into that bad situation in the first place. You know, it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? So, people who are Scientology haters in particular need to listen to this code of honor. Because if they held it in, they would never have let the church suck them in, basically. This code of honor is like it stops you from getting sucked in by things, I think. Okay, keeps you strong. Keeps you strong on purpose and, not get messed over. Okay, number 1, never desert a comrade in need, in danger, or in trouble. It's pretty good. Like, if you got if your friend's getting ran over by a car, obviously go and help him, you know what I mean? Like, anyone who's on your team that's good, you got to help. It says, never desert a comrade in need, in danger, or in trouble. Comrade's like a friend, a fellow worker or whatever. See, because if there was an evil dude that was getting run over by a car, I don't know if I would help him, to be honest. Like, if it was someone who I definitely knew was evil, like if it was like, let's say you got a neighbour who's a pedophile and he's like this evil banker pedophile guy, and you actually saw him dying, I would actually stop and think, shit, should I help him? Because I know that he's harming kids, and it'll be better if he was dead, because he wouldn't be harming kids. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's a whole nother philosophical topic, but, it's something to think about. Anyway, there are bad people in this world, and they're causing a lot of problems, and that's why we have to do all these sorts of things. That's why we have to read codes of honor. We probably wouldn't even have to read them if everyone was nice. Anyway, so, I'm of the philosophy of taking the bad guys out. That's just how I am, like naturally. Like that I just think it's just you either lock them up or you put them in an electric chair and you get them out. It's just for me pure common sense. If the snake's going around biting everyone, you get rid of the snake. It's that simple, right? Anyway, but there are some people, right, who are really sensitive. If they saw an actual evil person dying, they'll go, "Oh, I gotta help you climb back up that cliff and not fall down." And they'll literally go and help the evil person. The evil person will hop up and go, "Thank you," and then stab him in the back. Like that. There's some people who are like that. I think I don't want to mean to offend anyone, but I think left-wingers are kind of like that. I think they've got they're oversensitive and they're too emotional, and I think they would actually go and help an evil person from dying, and then the evil person will probably go and stab him in the back or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, anyway. Sorry to offend left-wingers, but, Anyway, alright. So the first point, never desert a comrade in need, in danger, or in trouble. It's pretty common sense. But I think the word comrade means a lot, I'll just quickly check up the definition of comrade. A fellow member of an organisation, so a team member. You know what I mean? I think that means something, you know what I mean? I think this is how LRH has so much common sense. Because I'm pretty sure his of the philosophy as well is if there's some evil pedophile dude and you saw him falling off a cliff, he would probably turn the other cheek and walk off. And that's why I respect LRH. You know what I mean? I know it doesn't sound politically correct. I know what Donald Trump doesn't sound politically correct. Right? But their actions are good. And it leads to goodness. You know what I mean? It might be a little bit mean to ban Muslims from coming into America, but if it saves all these people in a shooting, then it's damn well good. Isn't it? Right? And this is again where the left-wingers come in, because the left-wingers will be like, no, embrace them. Let them come in here. Oh, what? They just shot 40 gay people in a nightclub in Florida? Oh, whoops. Oh, let them come in. Let them come in. Sorry, I've never been a fan of left-wingers. I just think they're low-toned, right? No offense. All right. It's just ridiculous. All right, number 2. Never withdraw allegiance once granted. So I reckon that's, once you you say, I'm your friend, we'll team up to do something, you've got to stick in there and never withdraw it. The only reason that has some problems is that when you commit, let's say you join the church and you say, yeah, I want to join, I want to be part of it and that sort of stuff, and then it gets sort of corrupted and you find out more about how it's corrupted and you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to, commit to that. You know what I mean? I think that's when you can withdraw allegiance. You know what I mean? Because it was never really right in the first place for you to join up for it. But, for example, with me, I've left the church, I've withdrawn my allegiance from the church, right? But I've never withdrawn my allegiance from Scientology, because the church left Scientology. Do you know what I mean? The church isn't proper Scientology. So I've kind of withdrawn my allegiance from the church, but I kind of haven't. If anything, me leaving the church is me not withdrawing, is me holding this point in and never withdrawing allegiance once granted. I've granted my allegiance and I'm sticking with it. You know what I mean? And so I had to leave the church as part of that. See, this is a really good point. So you stick to a cause or something you believe in, right? And let's say your family's involved with the church and all this sorts of stuff is involved with the church. Well, if you're keeping your code of honor in, you've got to leave the church. If you want to actually, stick to Scientology, and you found out the church isn't sticking to Scientology, then, you've got to leave the church to make sure that you never withdraw allegiance once granted. Do you know what I mean? All right, next point. Number 3, never desert a group to which you owe your support. This is interesting. Never just desert a group to which you owe your support. That reminds me of a point that's just good and nice. So let's say you're involved with a group that fixes cars and they fix your car, and then you just you desert the group. But they really helped you by fixing your car, right? And you kind of owe them to help them fix other cars, right? That'll be a dodgy thing if you just leave the group, and they'll be like mean and wrong, right? If you to leave the group, right? That would be an overt, and you'll get bad karma for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're being a prick. You don't want to be a prick. You don't want to commit overts, because then you just get the whole bad karma and all this bullshit happening. So never withdraw a group to which you owe your support. So if you owe your support for some sort of group or whatever, don't leave it, because it's just wrong. This is like rules that I guess society can follow that can help them, help make things nice. All right, number 4, never disparage yourself or minimize your strength or power. Now, this is a really, really good one. If people don't know what disparage means, it basically means bag, like put down, like bully yourself, say crap stuff about yourself, say like, oh, I'm ugly, oh, I'm a loser, oh. Like, so never disparage yourself or minimize your strength or power. So, do you ever get into a situation where, like, you, this is a big point for me, I reckon, because, especially with these videos, I get people, like, disparage me, right? And even before I came across Scientology or made these videos or whatever, you get people say stuff about you if you're different or whatever. Like they say, oh, you're an idiot, or like an attacking comment or something. Not a constructive criticism comment. It's fine to be constructively criticize something, but actual attacks, you know what I mean? There's a difference between, saying what you think and then actually attacking, And so when you get these attacks, someone might say, you're fat, right? When you get these attacks, they can sort of get stuck in your head, or I notice like they can sort of get stuck in my head, and then you start saying them. Like, you start taking it on, you start disparaging yourself, you start going, oh, I'm fat, you know what I mean? And so it's saying here, number 4, never disparage yourself or minimize your strength or power. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't put yourself down. People out there saying crap, just ignore it, don't let it affect you, and don't you start taking it on board and thinking with it and start putting yourself down. I think this is basically saying think highly of yourself, think awesome of yourself, because LRH and Scientology in general believe that all of us are much better than what we are being right now. And yeah, we believe we can be much, much, much better. We can be far greater, but we're putting ourselves down, and we're letting other people put us down, and we're letting other people control us. Like, imagine when Donald Trump went to be the president, right? He was going to go nominate, right? And he'd seen how he got attacked, like the media, people were laughing at him, like, oh, Donald Trump, you're not going to do it, and other people were bagging him and stuff. What if he said to himself, oh, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not that good, I'm not that powerful, like, maybe I can't make president, and I'll just quit. And then he just quits, right? But he could have actually, like, he was going to make it. He was going to make it. Even though it was a really, really hard task, he actually pulled it off and made it to be the president. It's an amazing feat. He had so much against him, right? Now, how did he do that? Because he never disparaged himself or minimized his strength or power. He just said, nah. He just goes, no, I don't care what they say on Jimmy Kimmel or on the Today Show or something, or like, I don't know, I think that one with Jamie Oliver or something, John Oliver, I don't know, but anyway, he had so many like left-wingy comedians and that just rip into him and pick on him and all that sort of stuff, and the media the day before the election was saying it's like 83% chance Hillary will win, and like he had so many reasons, to start putting himself down and thinking, oh, maybe I'm not that good and all that sort of stuff. But he never did it. He was just like, no, he had pure confidence. He knew he had people who liked him, and he didn't care how much crap was in the left-wing controlled media. He just was like, nah. And he never minimized his strength or power. And he achieved it, and he pulled it off. You know what I mean? So stop putting yourself down. That's basically the first thing you need to understand. Especially people who listen to this, they might think they never got A's in school, and they might think they're dumb or whatever. They might think they can't, Scientology is too hard to study, or they might think they can never be smart or never have a high IQ. That's bullshit. The school system is crap. It's crap at educating people. You know what I mean? You can totally raise your IQ. Mine just shot up when I did Scientology. Like in 2 years, just went, like it literally just shoots up. You can actually do things to increase your IQ. You don't get sucked into thinking you're dumb. And maybe you might not be academic smart, but you're smart in some other way. You know what I mean? Not everyone has that nerdy maths type of smartness, that quick thinking, like good memory type of smartness. You might have some other sort of unique brilliantness to yourself. You know what I mean? So that's a really big point. Never disparage yourself or minimize your strength or power. People a lot of the time are their own worst enemies. Because I reckon they just let enemies get to them. Just don't let enemies get to you. Like a lot of the time people complain about someone, they go, oh, my mother was blah, 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 blah. And then you look at it and you go, at the end of the day, you did what she said. You were an accomplice in the crime. You let her degrade you. You let her screw up your life. You know what I mean? So this is real important, saying get your act together, pull your socks up, harden up, ignore the thingo, and you're in charge of yourself and stop putting yourself down. You know what I mean? It's real important that. Alright, number 5. Never need praise, approval, or sympathy. So this is a really big one as well. This is like never be concerned about what others think. And this is what's really interesting about 1-1 tone level, because a lot of the time they're concerned about what other people think. That's why a lot of the time you notice 1-1s, they always wear certain clothes. They put on these characters, like they might be like the emo character or the sports dude character, or they might be the angry, sometimes they put on anger, or they might be the gay, like the really friendly gay guy, like they put on these characters instead of just being just be yourself, you know what I mean? They put in these characters, right? Because they're trying to, like, quieten people down in their environment. Because they're wanting to get approval from their environment. You know, they're wanting to look cool in the group. Or they're wanting to, you know... They're just concerned about their environment and what their environment thinks of them. So they have to put on these characters. So basically, never need praise, approval, or sympathy. It just means don't give a shit about your environment. It's really not that important. And I noticed this with stand-up comedians, in that they'll go to say jokes on stage, and if they're in a mood of like really needing approval from the environment, like hope they think well of me, I hope they think I'm funny, and like they're like, I better have a good performance tonight, some special people are watching me, right? If they're in one of those moods, they have a terrible set, they have a terrible gig, and they don't make people laugh much. But if they're in a mood of, I don't give a fuck what the audience thinks, they usually say, they're a lot more themselves, they're more comfortable, they're more cool, and they say funnier stuff. Comedians know about this. So this is a really good piece of advice. Never need praise, approval, or sympathy. Like, obviously you shouldn't go around abusing people, saying, I don't care what other people think of me, and just abuse everyone. You shouldn't do that. But it's just saying, don't walk around being like really worried and desperate about what people think of you and being, especially if you're going to become, I guess, a Scientologist, because it's a little bit controversial, you know what I mean? So it's like, you just have to harden up and you have to just not care what people think, basically. But when you need praise and approval from other people, what you start to do is you stop being yourself. Actually, I think this code of honor might be called the code of just being yourself. It seems to be like what we're talking about here. It seems to be, it's like, this is how to stop other people from messing you up. You know what I mean? So anyway, so never need praise, approval, or sympathy. It's just saying, don't care what other people think, you know, of you. So that it makes you more yourself. Because you're not like, oh, I have to wear these clothes to impress these people, and I have to say these type of jokes to impress these people, and you know what I mean? Or I'm worried what Thingo thinks of me, and you end up becoming fake and putting on these acts, and it's just wrong. It's a retarded way because you're not being yourself, and the only way you can ever be happy is to be yourself. That's just totally true. You can't be happy trying to impress everyone, and like it's a sure path to being unhappy. Definitely the best thing to do is to be yourself. And also, in this world that we live in that's corrupted, if you're concerned about what people think, then that's no good. If you're living in like heaven with like just the nicest, greatest people, they all have good advice, and you're walking around, in that situation, I think it kind of does mean something what other people say. You know what I mean? Like you kind of want approval from them because they're like really good people. You know what I mean? And you're like, and it's all perfect, and their advice is good and all this stuff. So you should sort of almost be concerned about what they think, and that sort of stuff. But when you're in a messed up place with lots of bad people, right? You really don't want to care what they think. It's really important not to. You know what I mean? Because if they're approving of you, that's no good. You know what I mean? Like if a bad guy is because I'm saying it's more likely in this world. It's a good chance that the things that will come your way, the people that will come your way, right? There's a good chance they might be bad guys. So if they're happy with what you're doing, that's a really, really bad sign. If they're unhappy with what you're doing, it's a really, really good sign. You know what I mean? So it's like in Earth, right? If you've got these bad guys approving of you, or these bad, like you wanting to these bad guys to like praise you and be happy with you, it's no good. Do you get what I sort of mean? I don't know, whatever. All right, number 6, never compromise your own reality. All right, this is really, really important. So you've got your own way of thinking, or your own dreams, or your own, it's like reality. You got your own thing. Don't like weaken that. You know what I mean? So like again with the Donald Trump example. See, this code of honor seems to be just the code of being yourself. No wonder why I like this code of honor so much. Now I'm starting to realize why. Because I noticed that in life, especially if you're different, people love to just have a go at you. It's like this world is designed to make you into a conformist. Really. Well, I know it is, but like, it seems like it, but it's like, if you just want to be yourself, it's hard. Because people just come in and just like, no, there's this small percent of people called SPs that just attack. They're vicious, right? And I've always sort of had them sort of gravitate towards me or whatever and try and mess things up in me and that. And so I always found it's almost like I think life is a struggle to be yourself. And so obviously I started reading this and I was just like, oh, this is really great, because I didn't quite fully realize it, but this was just basically saying the rule book to follow in order to not let other people mess up your shit and you remain as yourself. You know what I mean? This was like the guide to not letting people screw you up. The guide to remaining yourself and the guide to just doing what you want to do. The rule book for just doing what you want to do. And that's another definition that you could say of what Scientology does. It just helps you be more yourself and just do what you want to do, which is cool. So yeah, never compromise with your own reality. Compromise like weaken. You know what I mean? Like come to a deal and go, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, no, you got your own reality, you got what you want to do, and just do it and don't let people, you know. So, like, for example, someone might say, like, if you're a girl or something, say, your hair looks terrible, right, or whatever. And, of course, look, if their criticisms justified, then check to see if your hair is terrible. Obviously, maybe it is, But let's just say like it's not really terrible. It's just a mean person who's saying it. And then you look at it in the mirror and you're like, yeah, it is kind of terrible. And like you compromise with your own reality. Like your reality was that your hair was cool, right? You liked it. And then they said something and you think, oh, okay, it is a little bit crap. So you've compromised with your own reality. Don't do that. That's no good. It's no good. Don't do that. And again with the Trump thing. So when Trump was running for election, like he could have switched on the terrible controlled mainstream media. And by the way, like you think these sort of things are conspiracy theories and stuff, and like you hear about it. I heard about it in Scientology, from L. Ron Hubbard, that the media is corrupted, that sort of stuff. But then you actually watch. I actually watched the recent US election, and it was just like, oh my God, like I couldn't believe how corrupt it was. It was completely like bought and paid for. It was like they were totally on Hillary's side, totally promoting Hillary. It was just like all about Hillary, and just anything wrong with Trump, just pick it out and just destroy Trump. Like it was, it shocked me how corrupt the media was. I really looked at it and I was like, no, it's not just that there's if left-wing people that work for the newspapers that write articles. It was like, no, this was completely controlled, a complete concerted effort, and it was like, we're not getting Trump elected, and they will just like attack Trump. And that made me really realize, no, this is all so true. This conspiracy theory talk of the media just being absolutely bought and paid for, and just like totally corrupted by the corporations. It was incredible, really. Anyway, I don't know, it's a whole another topic, but like, so when Trump was running for the election, he could have watched a thing saying, he's not going to win, no way, he's terrible. And then Trump could have been thinking that he was definitely going to win well, and he could have thought, maybe I'll just win. Maybe I'll just be here about 1% or something. See, that would be compromising with his own reality. He started off thinking that he would totally annihilate Hillary in the election, and then he starts thinking, oh, I'll just win by a little bit. He's weakened, squashed himself down and weakened his own reality. Well, he didn't do that, and that's why he won by so much. Maybe if he did that, he wouldn't have won. But he believed in himself, and he didn't stop. So this is a really good point. Never compromise with your own reality. And especially these people who are SPs that I'm talking about that come and attack things that are good. They try and mess with that person's reality. So they say stuff like to someone, it's really funny, because I get it on my YouTube channel, right? They'll say something like, they'll make a comment like, oh, you're gay or something. And it would kind of be a funny comment, but it's kind of trying to mess with my reality. It's trying to make me think, oh, maybe I am gay. You know what I mean? It's trying to mess with your mind. They love doing this. SPs, 1-1s, they love messing with people's minds. They love telling someone who's not an alcoholic that they're an alcoholic. Like they'll say that, like, seriously, they'll say to someone, like an SP psychologist or whatever will go, you're an alcoholic, aren't you? And they enjoy messing with someone's mind, and the person's like, oh, maybe I'm an alcoholic, and they get the thrill of, look at this guy, he's like messing with his mind and I'm confusing him. They really love that, right? It's one of their traits that they just love screwing up people's reality of things. And if you're when you're PTS, right? So when you've been connected a long time with an SP, like a proper SP, and you've been getting screwed over, that person who's PTS, their whole reality in life is screwed up, because every time they put out like a thought or like something, the SP has always been around to say some comment about it, or to confuse it and dirty it, because it's just they like to twist things and mess things, right? So that person walks around like just confused in general, and it just like their reality has just been so compromised. They're just like, oh yeah, I don't really know anything, and they're just like, oh, what the hell's going on? And they're just like just confused and that sort of stuff, and their reality is wishy-washy, and they feel like they're living in some sort of like nightmare. They feel like they're dreaming in general. Everything's a dream. Like, oh, it's a dream. Am I in a dream? Like, is this even real? And there's a question on the OCA test in Scientology where it says, does life seem like dreamlike to you or something like that. I think it relates to something to do with this. Like everyone's like, oh, what the hell's going on? Like, anyway, that person who's PTS has been compromising with their own reality. And it's no good. Okay, number 7. Never permit your affinity to be alloyed. So, like, weakened down. So, your affinity is like your attraction to something, you liking something, and alloyed is like weakening. So, all these points, it really does seem to be like just the code of just remaining yourself. I guess that's what honor is. It's remaining who you are, what you want to do. You know, it keeps you strong. It's just, I never really realized it. So never permit your affinity to be alloyed. So let's say you like model aircrafts. And someone says model aircrafts are crap. And you've had your affinity, and that comment has affected you. You've like thought about it, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, if my affinity, like my liking for model aircrafts, isn't that much anymore. Like, it's been alloyed, it's been weakened, you know. Oh, I don't really like model aircrafts as much anymore, and that's what SPs do. You know what I mean? Like I was saying, like one of their traits of SP is you throw anything at them, and then they like do the opposite. They twist it and throw it back at you. So if you say you like model aircrafts, they'll say model aircrafts aren't that good. If you say model aircrafts are crap, they'll say, what are you talking about, man? Lots of people like model aircrafts. It's literally their personality and their habits that they've got. They've got this habit of just continually attacking things in their environment. So, never permit your affinity to be alloyed. So, like, weakened. Let's say you're attracted to someone, right? And then someone else says, oh, nah, she's really ugly. And then you're like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, I don't like her that much anymore, right? And I know that might sound silly, but there's literally people out there who are really weak and pathetic, who, if someone else says to them, you know, that person's ugly or that jumper's crap or whatever, they will actually get affected by it and totally just go, oh yeah, it's crap. And they're like these little, like, wussy robots, and they just follow around the successful person or whatever, the leader or whatever, and they'll just, you know, like, anything the leader says, that'll become true, you know what I mean? And they'll start wearing, you know, they'll think girls are hot that the leader think are hot, and clothes are good, the brands of clothes the leader wears, they've got to wear, you know what I mean? They're like, their liking for things is just so alloyed and weak down that they just don't have it anymore. They're robots, people, basically. They're sheep, basically. They're sheep. Never permit your affinity to be alloyed. So I think this could relate a lot to Scientology, really. Like, you could say, look, I think it's great or whatever, and someone like Chris Shelton, the Scientology hater, will say that, like, the Purif has no scientific validity, or whatever the word is, right? And, like, meanwhile, you know, you've done the Purif, you've seen people, you know, get toxins out of their body and see that it's a good course. And it can be a bit tough because it's a proper, thorough detox program. And yeah, there might be some scientific, you know, analyses of the Purif that are like corrupted, made by people who just hate Scientology and want to prove Scientology wrong. And they say that there's no scientific evidence. I mean, who really, like, what more scientific evidence do you need than actually doing the course and just seeing people get better on the Purif? You know what I mean? Anyway, but there's some people who might have left the church, right, because they sort of disagreed with it, who are watching this video, who can watch a video like that by Chris Shelton bagging the Purif and can start thinking, oh, maybe my liking of the Purif, you know, isn't as much anymore, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I was wrong in thinking that, you know what I mean? And it's just like, no, just don't permit your affinity to be alloyed, you know? Don't permit it to be weakened down. Like, if you like the Pure Earth and you got good wins from it, then that's all that matters, you know? That's the truth. What's true is what's true for you. You know what I mean? You have to think for yourself. You know what I mean? This would also be called the code of thinking for yourself. Alright, number 8. Do not give or receive communication unless you yourself desire it. Oh, this is a really good one. Okay, so do you know how I was saying that how there's some people who are Scientology haters who had a bad experience with the church, and how they contributed to that bad experience was the fact that they didn't apply the code of honor? This would be an example where they do not give or receive communications unless you yourself desire it. So you would find that they would have been involved with the church, and they would have gotten into a situation where they didn't want to give or receive communications. Yet they continue giving or receiving communications. Whereas if they remained strong, actually applied the code of honor, looked after themselves, right, they should have not given communications. There's a movie called Until Nothing Remains. It's a German movie. You can watch it on YouTube. It's got English subtitles in it. And it's about like Scientology, like an experience people had with the church, and it's a bad experience they had with the church, and it's a realistic bad experience that people can have with the church. I think it's obviously, you know, it just focuses on the negative side of Scientology, but it does it accurately, right? Well, the main character in that movie, right, he violated the code of honor like big time. And this point he exactly violated. You know, do not give or receive communications unless you yourself desire it. Like, he kept on rocking up and talking to people at the org. You know, just rocking up is communicating in itself. Rocking up to their place when he didn't really want to do it, and saying things like, he just was this weak, sort of pathetic character, right, that got pushed around by the pushy church, and got pushed around by his wife, and got pushed around by some SPs. And it gets him into all these troubles and all these problems and stuff. Whereas if he just like applied a code of honor and was strong and was just like, no, I'm not giving communication, blah, 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 he wouldn't have gotten into all these troubles. But because he violated the code of honor, in particular, this one about communications, it leads you on a path of just messed up and screwed upness, and then he ends up having this huge court case, he ends up getting divorced, and it's a big drama, and he was a lot to do with causing that in the first place, because he violated this code of honor. So, this is a good point. Do not give or receive communication unless you yourself desire it. Some people who, because of their case and that, are too weak, and then because they're not hardening up and applying the code of honor, they might talk, for example, to a telemarketer on the phone when they don't want to talk to them, and they should just hang up. You know what I mean? Or they might let someone in the church talk them into buying something that they don't want to buy. They didn't want the communication, so they shouldn't have answered the phone in the first place. They should have said to the person, look, I don't want to talk to you, okay? See you later, bye. And just hanged up. But some people who are weak and that sort of stuff and aren't applying their code of honor end up talking to the regs at the church and end up getting, and they get sucked into something they don't want to do, and then next minute their life's screwed up, and it's because they didn't stay true to their own code of honor, you know? Alright, number 9. Your self-determinism and your honor are more important than your immediate life. So I think this is true because you got life, right? And I've found, if you don't have the code of honor in, that life can be pretty crappy and can be pretty rough. And I don't think it's worth living, honestly. Like, years ago I did a job that was just like a really boring hourly rate sort of job that was just like, you know, like sorting mail. And I wasn't aware of the code of honor back then. I didn't really have it. Like, I didn't really stand up for myself, and I didn't have confidence and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't really have much self-determinism and that sort of stuff. And I felt really bad. I thought it was really, really terrible. I did not like it at all. right? So I just think life without this code of honor, without your self-determinism, is just like, there's no point. Like, I think there's a quote that like Alex Jones says, or one of those sort of freedom fighting sort of people say, where they go, give me liberty or give me death. And I believe that. I agree with it, because it's just like, if you're not going to have freedom, if you're not going to have self-determinism and be doing what you want to do, I can't enjoy it, and I would prefer death. I don't think it's enjoyable at all. I think it's terrible. So this this point here, your self-determinism and your honor are more important than your immediate life. It's saying, don't worry about your life. Like, don't be concerned about living or not or whatever, right? What's more important is just doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? Because if you're worried about your life all the time, like, oh, what are they going to... You end up being this little wuss, like protecting your body all the time, walking around. You know what I mean? Oh, I hope I don't get shot or whatever. I hope I don't get attacked or whatever. You're protecting yourself all the time, and you're not living your life. Whereas it's better to just live your life, even if it's a bit risky. So number 10, your integrity to yourself is more important than your body. So integrity is like staying true to yourself, right? I'll just look it up quickly. Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Your integrity to yourself is more important than your body. Staying true to yourself is more important than your body. So it's saying, don't worry about risking your life. I think it's a very similar point to the other one. Having morals and all that sort of stuff is more important than your body. And also, because us Scientologists, we believe in reincarnation, and there's a lot of evidence for it and stuff. So it's not that much of a deal if you die, really. I mean, obviously I don't want to, right? But it's not that big a deal, because you reincarnate and you come back again, right? So you just start again. That's what I was saying earlier in the video, where I said, if someone, I don't think it's necessarily that bad if someone wants to commit suicide. Like, some people really might have a genuinely terrible life, and they might as well just start again. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a video game, just press restart. Like, they might as well just do that, in some situations. You know what I mean? So it's just like this point here, number 10, it's just like, who cares about your body? Just stay true to yourself. You know? Doing what you want to do, you know, it's more important than your body and stuff. Alright, number 11. Never regret yesterday. Life is in you today, and you make your tomorrow. Exactly. Who cares about yesterday? Who cares what ever happened? No matter how bad it is, you know, you got to move on. You got to harden up and move on and just forget about it, you know. And you can do therapy in Scientology that helps you with it, and other practices. You can do stuff that like helps you, you know, forget about the past, right? In fact, you could, like in Scientology, you work to achieve a state of clear. It seems like the whole point of clear is just cutting off your connection with the past and disconnecting your connection with the past. Because people walk around stuck in the past all the time. So someone who, they might have been abused, and they're walking around like, is that person going to abuse me? Like, oh, I've got to watch out, you know what I mean? And they're still stuck in the abuse, but they need to cut off, disconnect themselves from their memories, and just walk around, and they're clear. And they're like, oh, this is nice. Like, I can just not be stuck in the past, you know? So don't regret yesterday. Like, yes, some bad stuff went down, and some other people did bad stuff and were in the wrong, and you probably did bad stuff and were in the wrong. But don't regret about it. Like, it's just how it is. It's just happened. So you got to move on. So I guess this is a point again where Hold on, just quickly look up regret. I just want to totally get this right. Regret. Yeah, so I guess these Scientology haters like regret, like feel sad, you know, or disappointed, over something that you've done or failed to do or something. So some of these Scientology haters, they might... I feel like they sort of regret a bit too much. Like they're stuck in yesterday. You know, like they're feeling bad about what they did or what someone else did to them. Anyway, they just need to move on, basically. It's just like, you're not going to get anywhere if you're just regretting things. Never regret yesterday. Life is in you today, and you make your tomorrow. So, it's a really good point here. You make tomorrow. You know what I mean? What you do today makes the future. You know what I mean? Today you build the house that in the future you live in. It's a real positive attitude. And this is actually an attitude that sane people have, that upturned people have, in that they're always, doing things that are good for their future. And they make their future good. And that's why you notice that they seem to have good luck, good cars and good everything, is because they've worked for those things. Do you know what I mean? They've put in effort not to commit overts. You know what I mean? They've put in effort to build a house. They've worked for the future. But people who are messed up, who are more low-toned, they do the opposite. So they seem to... They don't make their future. Do you know what I mean? They're just worried about the right now. And also they're a bit obsessed with the past. So they stop making their future. And you'll notice a lot of them are messed up. So they'll go do things like spend too much money on a holiday right now. That'll screw up their future. Because they won't be able to afford to pay rent in 2 years' time because of the expensive holiday that they bought now. Do you know what I mean? They're not making their tomorrow. They're just doing crap right now in the now. And it just doesn't help them. You know what I mean? There's no plans for the future. They're not being responsible. You know? Life's in you today. Make your tomorrow. You know? It's a good point. And I like how it says, you make your tomorrow. He doesn't say the school makes your tomorrow, or the president makes your tomorrow, or your partner makes your tomorrow. You make your tomorrow. You're in charge of yourself. You create your own reality. If somebody's had a bad experience with the church, for example, they've been making that. They've had help with making that. And people will help you to become a drug addict, and they'll help you to do any... Like, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, so the people help you do a lot of bad things. But you make your tomorrow, and you're making it. You're making it bad. You know? You're making your bad experiences. Number 12. Never fear to hurt anyone in a just cause. Oh, see, this is an interesting... This is a really, really good point. This is a bit controversial as well. Before, right, I said the example of... if a really bad person is falling off a cliff, right, and they need help, should you help them? Should you, grab them and stop them from falling off the cliff if they're bad? And I was saying how I wouldn't help them. Like, if I definitely knew they were bad. Right. This is a similar point. Never fear to hurt another in a just cause. So you're standing there watching this person who's an evil pedophile falling off a cliff. And so you let them fall off the cliff. That's hurting someone, right? Because you're letting them, you're not helping them pull up. But it's a fair cause. It's a just cause. You've got a good cause to do it. You've got a good reason to do that, because that guy's a bad guy and things will be better without him. So this is basically saying never fear to hurt another in a just cause. I think I agree with that. Okay? I don't agree with hurting another, but if it's a just cause, right, like the example with the evil person, I think it's okay. You know, because I mean, it's a fair cause. They're going to cause more problems if you make them stay alive. You're actually doing an evil thing by saving the person. You do realize that. You are being evil by saving the pedophile guy off the cliff. That's being evil. You're committing an overt if you do that. You know what I mean? Never fear to hurt another in a just cause. But the problem with this point is, of course, it ends up getting blown out of proportion when you get a hardcore church, because they'll say it's a just cause for us to expand Scientology, so we had to steal your house. Like, they don't really do that, but they take people's money. So never fear to hurt another in a just cause. So they'll say it was a good cause that we, stole your house. We stole heaps of your money. And we don't care if we hurt your feelings. It was a good cause. It was a just cause, so we need to do it. Okay, here's the problem with that. It ends up screwing up the church. And ends up giving the church a bad reputation. And you're biting the hand that feeds you. Because the members of the church are the people you should be helping. They're on your same side, right? So that's not a just cause. You're screwing up your own church by doing that. And also, the church policy doesn't even talk about donations. The way the church should be getting money is by selling courses. So this is why people can read these sorts of things like in the church, like Dave and Miscarriage, and they can not understand them, and they can apply them in a bad way. And this sort of stuff happens a lot in Scientology because Hubbard's writings, you need to be smart to understand them and apply them, that sort of stuff. So someone in the church will go, it's okay for me to take that person's credit card and swipe it. It's a just cause. It's better for the group. You know what I mean? But it's not a just cause. It's not. It's wrong. It's perverting Scientology and it's messing it up. And in the long run, it's the reason why the church has a bad reputation today, because of people misreading things and applying them in a bad way. Right, number 13. Don't desire to be liked or admired. This is, again, Hubbard, I know, does these certain things where he repeats similar sort of things. He repeats similar ideas written in different ways. So I feel like to really get the idea sinking in to the person, so they really get it, and they fully get the idea. So you got here, never need praise, approval, or sympathy, which is very similar to don't desire to be liked or admired. So it really gets into that topic, you know what I mean, of being worried about what other people think. A very important point, don't desire to be liked or admired. Let's just say a good example, right? There's a lot of good evidence that reincarnation exists. Now, someone might go out and start saying that reincarnation exists, and then they get attacked, and the skeptics give them a real hard time. But if they were really concerned about being liked, right, then they'll go, oh, I better not say that again. And they're literally people I know. I've known people, literally, who have been like that as a person. They literally will, what do people think of me? They're like anxiety sort of tone. You know, and you actually see them, right? Like I was once on Facebook with a friend that was like that. And I wanted to invite people in Facebook to something, right? And so I said, can you go on and invite people to like it? And he goes, okay. And I go, I can just do it. I can just sit here and click the button, right, for all the people. And he's like, oh, no. I need to check who's going to, and he reads and he's like, like Sarah, oh, okay, we sent it to her, and John, oh no, not John, no, Sarah, Jim, oh yes, Jim will think it's okay, Jim, it's not that bad, okay, Sarah, oh yeah, that person's good, yeah, oh no, I can't send to that one, I sent too many to that one, and it's just like, whoa, whoa, talk about anxiety and worried about what people think of you, like, you are really like, your case is charged up like a Christmas tree, you're like, whoa, you need to get cleared. Like, whoa, you know? And, I mean, a horrible way to live your life. Like, you're just really struggling to survive, and it's all because he's scared and worrying, and he's designed to be liked. Oh, you better like me. I'm scared of everyone, so I hope everyone likes me. And he lives this miserable existence, right? I feel sorry for the guy, and he also really liked marijuana because it chilled him out, so he'd smoke marijuana a lot. You know what I mean? He was addicted to that because it would be like, he'd smoke it and it'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Instead of just like, you know, doing Scientology or doing yoga and calming down and just practicing TR0, just sitting there and relaxing and reading good stuff like this, he had to like every day, you know, like smoke marijuana. And what does the high last for? Like 2 hours or something, and then he goes back to the next day. Oh, they're thinking of me. Oh, I'm freaking out all the time. And you know, I feel sorry for them, but this is a good point. It's just saying, no, don't desire to be liked or admired. Calm down. You know what I mean? It's not that important. You know, who cares if people think you're a nutter if you believe in reincarnation? Who cares? You know what I mean? Stick with it. This is the same with, with Trump. Don't desire to be liked or admired. The left hated him to death. He did not care at all whether they liked or admired him, but he built up his own supporters who really did like him, and he became president. He wins. In the end, he wins. In the end, he gets to make the changes. He gets to bring jobs back to America. He wins. Whereas if he was this wussy sort of person, it was like, what are the left wings going to think of me? I better not say that. Like, he would just like, firstly, the right wingers wouldn't like him as much anymore, and he wouldn't be able to do what he wanted, and his life would just be crap. You know? And also, like I said, yeah, like if you've got an SP around you or whatever, don't desire to be liked or admired, you might change your behaviour. You know, if you don't have this, you might change your behaviour. Oh, I like that show. Yeah, because you want them to like you. And I like that show, yeah. And yeah, I like surfboards. Yeah, and you don't even like surfboards, and you're just being this fake person because you're worried about being liked, and it's like, you better like me. It's ridiculous. All right, number 14. Be your own advisor, keep your own counsel, and select your own decisions. Okay, be your own advisor. So you advise yourself. You know what I mean? Don't take advice, like you can take advice from other people, but don't let other people just tell you what to do. Hard enough. Be your own advisor. Keep your own counsel. So, keep your own counsel is an interesting expression. Okay, I just want to clear this up exactly. Keep your own counsel. I think it means, ready? Keep one's own counsel. Say nothing about what one thinks or plans. So, advise yourself. Don't talk about what you think or plan, right? Because what can happen with that is sometimes you can be too open and just people just come and attack you. So be your own advisor, keep your own counsel, right? So don't say what you think or plan. Like someone might say to you, red cars are the best type of cars. You got to get a red car. And you're thinking, I'm not going to get a red car. I don't think you should really... I think you should keep that advice to yourself, because then he's going to go, you got to get a red car because of blah, 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 and that might influence you more, and also it might cause problems. But it's just like, you know, think for yourself, advise yourself, and just, you know, you don't have to go and talk about what you think about red cars or whatever, because that person's going to attack you. So let's say it's like someone might hear you're a Scientologist, and, you know, keep your own counsel. So someone might say to you, Scientology is crap. There's no God, there's no evidence for God. Science rocks. Yeah. And they're like not scientific at all. But if you say that out loud, right, that they're like just a low-tone atheist, they might... I'm not saying all atheists are low-tone, by the way. I mean, there's Scientologists that are atheists, you know. Well, there's Scientologists that are low-tone, you know, as well. But you know, if I said that, like, oh, atheists are just low toned or whatever, obviously it would cause a whole argument, and it's just not a good way. So just saying, you know, keep to yourself. So be your own advisor, keep your own counsel, like don't say what you think or plan to do, and select your own decisions. So again, just think for yourself. See, and this is a big point that the Scientology haters violate while they're involved with Scientology. They violate this one more than anyone. Anyone. They don't be their own advisor. The church just push them around and tell them what to do. They don't keep their own counsel, so they don't sort of keep their own opinions to themselves. They tell the church what they think, and then the church can use that against them and try and change their mind. Instead of sitting there in the reg interview or with ethics or whatever and just saying, okay, all right, and then thinking what you want to think, they'll say what they're really thinking, and then the ethics officer will be able to tear it to shreds, whatever they're thinking, and then they have their opinions alloyed. You know what I mean? And select your own decisions. They don't really select their own decisions. They let the org select the decisions for them, right? So these people, and then they get into all these problems like credit card debt or, you know, RPF and all these problems and stuff. And then they come out of it hating Scientology in the church and all this sort of stuff. Yet in the materials right there, L. Ron Hubbard's saying, giving you advice to help you, and you're not applying it. You know what I mean? The reason why I consider my experience with the church the best experience I've ever had is because I kept the code of honor in. You know, I didn't let myself get screwed over. You know, and I stayed true to Scientology, true to Hubbard's writings, and, you know, I was my own advisor, I kept my own counsel, and selected my own decisions. And I didn't get screwed over. That's why there's plenty of people who haven't been screwed over by the church, who don't regret their experiences with the church. There's plenty. It's probably like 10% or something. Like, it's a small percentage that got screwed over by the church, but they scream so loud and they make so many videos on YouTube that you think Scientology is like the worst thing ever. You know? Those people help create all these problems that they've had. And I'm not saying... I'm not being a church apologist. I'm just explaining that it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? So these church people don't have their ethics in. This code of honor is just how to keep your ethics in, how to stay doing what's right. You know? How to keep your survival actions in, you know? And they're violating it. That's why they get into all these problems. You got to be your own advisor, keep your own counsel, and select your own decisions. That's what winners do. You know? Now the last one, number 15. Be true to your own goals. This is a good one as well. I mean, they all seem to be like relating to the same thing. Here's you want to go a certain way, and things come in that can push you off that thing. This thing is advice and rules to follow that harden you down and continue following where you want to go. You know? Those people I was saying who had a bad experience with the church, be true to your own goals. They were going a certain way. They had a goal, and then the church knocked it away, and they got sent over here, and they let it get knocked away because they didn't apply this code of honor. They didn't be true to their own goals, so they get knocked away. Then they got knocked over here. Then maybe they went back to the goal, and they got knocked over here. And then they're on all this credit card debt, and they're down here in the dumps, really far away from their own dreams and their goals. And then they blame everything on the church. And it's like, hold on a second. Takes two to tango. You know? Anyway, be true to your own goals. It's very important. So that's, you know, if you just don't be true to your own goals, what you really want to do, I don't know, you're going to be miserable. I know some people can literally not do much and be happy, and that's cool. Good on them. Maybe that is their goal, to not do much. Good on them then. But, you know, I find that I think I have to be true to my own goals. Otherwise things won't be fun and they're bad. So, yeah, be true to your own goals. Now, so that's the code of honor, or AKA the code of doing what you want to do. Or AKA the code of good luck. Because I think if you keep these things in, you'll have good luck and all this sort of stuff. Very, very big thing, I think. And in the comment section, I guess, I wouldn't mind hearing if people, what people think of the code of honor. But I feel it's like one of those things where it really strikes a chord. It's like, whoa, yeah, this is really, really powerful and important. This is life-changing in itself. Like, because you can talk about Scientology and its processing and that sort of stuff. But, you know, just this written material is good enough. Like, I would love for them to, at school, to just... One of the first things they teach you is to sit you down and really teach you these ideas and that sort of stuff and tell you, because it's really good information that can really help you, you know. Like, I remember in primary school, I had a teacher who said, and he really forced it across to everyone, he said, be organised, and like he really labelled it down, you know. Tone 40'd it in. He was saying to people, organise, organise, organise. So have a neat diary, have a neat desk, have things in the right places, you know, have schedules. He said, if you ever want to do anything, you ever want to be successful, you've got to be organised. I reckon it's the best advice ever. It's totally true. It really sinks in. And this is another thing, this code of honour. It's like you pick it up and you throw it into someone, you really make sure they get it, and they're set for life, you know? Anyway, alright, thanks for listening to this KR. I hope you liked it. And if you've got a code of honour, I would recommend sitting down and read it. I got one out of this book. But you could probably maybe search it on the internet or whatever. But yeah, get into it. And, you know, thanks for listening.